terrible light. The door was open with it was too big for the stove, and it's made everything smoky. The light isn't great behind me, so I look a bit like a ghost. But no, I'll get straight into it. The reason I'm making the live stream now is twofold. Firstly, I tried to make it yesterday, early this morning, late last night, in relationship to the Time to Talk campaign by Mind. And I was going to hopefully give in relationship to that campaign from my experience of my mental health and my life. But I've added another little bit to the title, which I'm going to open the live stream with, and that is I've been experiencing insanity in relationship to my body for quite a while now, and my body's been not working as it should. All the articulation in my joints has been all over the place, the pressure, and there's been a lot of pain. And anyway, this morning, I've been up against the wall like never before in relationship to my life, and specific statement I made about the changes in my physical body. And this morning, I've been struggling with the hot and cold, moving to a boat that's not properly insulated yet, from the flat where I had the heating on pretty much all the time, shamefully. I knew that wasn't in my best interest. And this move to the boat here, I knew it would be a challenge, and I knew it would be healthy not having central heating, but it's been an extra challenge where I'm not really set up to live on it yet. So I've really been fighting the hot and cold and getting getting my body back into check, but fighting it of health, which should improve my circumstance, but it was almost like a battle I couldn't see me ever getting past. And that's been affecting my sleep. And anyway, this morning, woken by the GP who called, and that snapped me out of my normal fight mode in terms of my body, because that's what I normally wake up and I focus on as soon as I get out of bed. My mental health problems from my life. And today I had to be focused because the GP called as soon as I was awakened. So I was alert, I was speaking to them, and my mind wasn't focused on those other elements. And I could feel on an energetic level like my energy all over the place in a very unhealthy way to a certain extent. Something that isn't going to do me the best of good going forward in my life. I'm aware of energy, and I know energy. I'm a previously trained energy therapist, and I have a good grounding in exercise. Anyway, I got up, and the anxiety, because I knew what I was experiencing on an energetic level would affect me negatively going down the road, and things were already challenging enough with my body, but I kept saying to myself, got to let it go. I've got to be at peace with this. Not get worked up because I've given everything. There's no more I could have done. Anyway, I went and put the the kettle on to make a coffee. Things were so bad on an energetic level, and anxiety was present. I went straight into a little bit of qi gong, very, very basic stuff, movement from the shoulders, which is how I start my qi gong whenever I've done it. Just rolling the shoulders, really tuning into the body from there. And that just didn't start. But what happened was the anxiety removed after a certain amount of time, after I was working my way through my problems, which I've not been able to do because of my life. And the anxiety lifted, and then it made it easier, and I carried on with, it's like an evolved, but basically my uncle, who's been like the biggest mentor in my life, he taught me a very simplistic, very fundamental, from what I understand, and grounded qigong practice. I mean, I must have only had a handful of, not handful, but I must have only had a few, maybe up to between 10 and 20 sessions with him, so it's not the most. It was simplistic, and I'm autistic, and my mind is simple. That's just my approach to life. I respected it very, very much, and all the teachings that he gave me alongside it allowed me to really appreciate, to a certain extent, its worth. And over the past few years, I've been trying to implement it into my life, but my mental health stops me from training. So it's a case of a very simplistic amount of training I'll do if I manage to get into a training routine. I probably won't do more than shoulder rolls and neck rolls and neck extensions, so I realised I could really do with that. So there's not a lot I did in terms of what my uncle taught me in the first instance. But the way my mind is, I don't know what element of mental health it falls under, but I just overthink everything in a very practical way. Basic teaching to just my general everyday life. And it's really evolved and naturally moved into a very, very slow, movement-based meditation movement that applies the teachings I've had from my uncle in relationships to qigong. And there'll be days in the past when for whatever reason my body gets too much for me, and the situation requires me to the meditative practice and do some qigong at the same time. It's hard to explain it. It's just I probably look like a madman just moving my body like there's a type of Tai Chi called which basically means spontaneous movement with the awareness of Tai Chi and Qigong. And I actually began to do that spontaneously again and naturally back in my late teens, early 20s. Over time, and there'll be days in the past recent years when I've had the space in life due to my mental health not allowing me to do, well, not allowing me to work and not allowing me to do what I want all the time. And I might spend hours each time not really getting past shoulder rolls, really just focusing in on the movement. And I was going at it today, and I've been dealing with a lot pressures beyond my imagination before, pressures that I couldn't ever imagine my body being put under. This is like a horror movie at times, you know. I remember a trailer for a recent like an act. There was zombies in it, and their heads would just dislocate from their necks and their shoulders, and you know, twist back behind their backs. And I've been really experiencing something like, in terms of pressure, it must be unimaginable, but in terms of pressure, a very, very similar experience, and it's just been very, very shocking and traumatic. But what I want to highlight is the pressure. It's like, I couldn't have ever watched that trailer and imagined that I'd be experiencing something like that, even in the slightest. And it is slight, obviously my head's still on my shoulders, but in terms of pressure, like my arms and my hips, they're not be moving as I've wanted them to, and have known my body could move them. So anyway, I really got into it because I knew I was in a bad place, and unfortunately the pressure on my body was such that if I didn't myself to enough of the pressure, exert myself to the maximum and exhaust myself in the train, it's not an exhaustion, but you give everything you have. Where you're at in that place. So in other words, if you're going to an hour of qi gong, the way I draw my limit is it's just watching myself and being kind to myself, not overexerting myself unless I want to. But it's generally nothing to prove. There's no end point. There's no achievement ever in the qigong, and it's like, I'm going to do this because my life is telling me I have to do this, or this is just like the only. So I go about it, and there's nothing to prove. There's no set finish time. If I want to push myself, I push myself. If I don't, I don't. Me to that place where I'm doing the qigong sets the limit in terms of stress, and stress affects the nervous system, and you're working with the nervous system in qigong, so it's almost like self-explanatory, not self-explanatory, but the happens of itself. And a lot of the time it's like with qigong, you're really working on posture, and with posture it's like you can really feel posture, and you know when you're not, and there's always that want to get to that correct posture, you know, because you'll feel that release, you'll feel the aliveness come back into your body. And I just stick to that predetermined principle. It's a case of, why am I doing this? What's taken me to do the qigong? That controls my body, which I should already be aware of. And then I apply my qigong. And when I get to that limit, when those three tell me like now's the time to stop. I asked myself, do you want to go a bit more, Andres? Today I couldn't. It was so stressful from the pressure that I was dealing with. So I did some Qigong. I worked through it through the movement practice. And when I reached my limit, I sat down, but I could still feel the pressure on my body, and the pressure created a certain stress level and anxiety, a certain stress level, but because I'd done the Qigong, it was more in control. So as I sat down, I was working my way through Qigong again, like I would do in my everyday life, but I felt I had to be doing it. Again, it was like life. And I got to my point where I was like exhausted from the time to stop, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have any more. I need to stop now. I know I need to stop because I need my mind to be clear. I don't want the anxiety to come to mind. And I was sitting here and I'm like, well, what can I do? Were there any supplements that would just allow a certain level of ease? And as I say that, I've just remembered one where I couldn't remember it before. Because I just needed like my body to go and then absorb the pressure from where it was. Otherwise, what would happen is I'd get up and carry on about my day. And where I'd carry on about my day, because that anxiety of the pressure and my physical body still not being perfect, still not being getting that release and that energy of perfect posture. I know from past experience I would have been fighting through the day, and chances are I would have fallen over, and it's even possible a lot of that work could have been lost that I've gained today. So what I thought I'd do is just make myself and allow myself to lose that on one level, because as I'm sitting here and been making the live stream, I felt the posture, my posture being pulled back into a more inappropriate, well, not inappropriate, but a more going back the way it was, basically losing the work I've done through the Qigong. And I felt the pressure on me, but what I've done is just make this live stream to distract myself from the pressure, allow my body to lose. Because in essence, if I do it this way, if I let my body lose some of the gains that I've achieved today, which, if I'm honest, it felt like I really got into it and I achieved a lot today. And if I allow myself to lose just that little bit now, remove all of the anxiety, be at peace with my body taking 5 steps back from 10 steps forward that I've done, I know in mind in that knowledge. It's horrible to feel my body lose. That process is so mind-racking if I look at it, but I know from past experience that that's the best application. And as I said, I'll go and have some of that supplement now just to calm me a little bit. But I thought I'd share that. That's what's brought me to make this live stream today. It's taken me 19 minutes to just tell you the context. But yeah, no, if there's something strange in your neighbourhood, who you're going to call? Well, a Qigong instructor. My uncle had a website when he was alive, and he was a very wise man, humble, and he worked, he gave a lot of energy to life. And he had a website where he half-heartedly attempted to put out some of the teachings of his wisdom. I think more than anything, the website was just for me to observe. I don't know how many people must have viewed it, but it was just a way to communicate to me from what I loved technology and websites, his wisdom. And slap bang on the front page, as I remember it, or maybe on the bio page, he basically says, look, doing some Qigong is essential. Ideally, it would be the form that he practiced in, which was the Universal Healing Tao by Mantak Chia. He's got loads of books, Mantak Chia, on all different life as well as the body, because it's Taoist teachings, and it extends really as far as the body connects into life, which is many things from what I understand. But he basically says, look, do some Qigong. If you can't find a Universal Healing Tao instructor, that's fine, just do some Qigong. That's the most important thing. So I thought I'd pass on his suggestion through a bio today. Time to talk. Maybe less talking and more Qigong. I want to give a more personal explanation on my perception of mental health, more in relationship to pain. But where this video is extended up to 22 minutes now, it's a bit long-winded for where I'm at and for the video. So we'll see if I can make an more on point to the campaign. Life can be debilitating. My mental health, our bodies can be prisons. They can become our biggest challenges. So to our minds. And life can stop us from doing many things, even the things that allow for health. I believe my uncle has shown me is that if I'm always putting my intent in that direction of health for all the different elements that I could do in relationship to health and life, constantly, every day, I've wanted to do some Qigong. It's been about 6-7 months. The odd day, little bits here and there, 5-10 minutes, but and that went back to back in March when I did 5-10 minutes each day. But I really would love to do of my own free will, instead of life saying right now you can do it. My own free will has allowed me 5-10 minutes of Qigong every so often. But that's life stopping me from being able to do what I want, from being able to apply health. But if you put the intent to do what you can in relationship to those 3 elements I mentioned before, all the time, and be kind to yourself, you know, right, I want to do an hour, but if I can only do 5 minutes now, which is realistic, I'll take that 5 minutes. So you set that intent all the time for 5 minutes. And every so often you get given that opportunity and you appreciate it more and more. And you understand it because you appreciate it, what it gives you. And if life ever puts you up against the wall and you need to call on it in your life because of the situation in the moment, and you're like, right, I've got nothing to lose. I need to do some qigong now, or some exercise now, whatever training it is you might do in your life. You drop everything and you give it, advertise it above everything. It's a bit hard to do that every day, but if you're patient with yourself, patient with life, I believe that's a gift that my uncle has taught me of training. And in ultimate, that's the between yoga, this is my understanding now, this is my awareness, between yoga and being a warrior of life, the key is to know when to stop. My uncle has imparted on me, and that's what I've been able to share in this live stream and articulate it, because I've just experienced that in a very, very clear way for me to see, for me to, or the world, or the 5 views this video might get. Doesn't matter. It's well, given my life, it's life and death. I might save somebody's life. Who knows? Anyway, what are you going to talk about today?